Recently, I had a video shoot and it was for 3 restaurants in one night. And in this video, I'm gonna walk through what it was like to shoot all 3 of them, what equipment I used, what went well, what didn't go so well, and what kind of adjustments I'm gonna make. Okay, so here's the equipment I used. I have a Sony a7 III that I use to shoot the video and take the pictures. I have a small rig camera on that. I also use 2 different Polar Pro filters. I use the Polar Pro 2 to 5 stop Chroma V&D filter, as well as a Polar Pro Pro Mist. I also use a small rig RT250 light. It's like a handheld Tubelight. We're gonna show some images of that. I put that on like a light stand. That helps me light different images. I also typically use a DJI Ronin gimbal as well to shoot video. I put a vertical mount on there. So I grabbed some of the stuff here. So these are the microphones. I use these, the wireless, the Rode wireless ones, just because they're really easy to clip on to the different, to the owner, but as well as clipping them on to, I like to shoot one of the chefs at one of the restaurants and have him walk through some dishes as he makes them.
I'm gonna put it in the pan, get it nice and toasty, and then take our delicious large shrimp here, cook it in the pan, get a nice sizzle on them.
I also use a small rig handle that I got to really clip onto the camera cage, and it makes it really easy to shoot handheld footage, but kind of flip from pictures to video. It just gives you that extra grip, especially when you have the camera cage on. I love the camera cage. I think you need a camera cage to protect it, but also for all the different attachments, but this has been a lifesaver for me. It also has a hot shoe mount too, which I really like. For my flash, I'm using a Godox flash, or Godox. I got this one right here. It's the V862. I put a Godox little diffuser on here. The reason I do that is it kind of softens up the light. And I'll take this on and off the camera throughout the night. I usually shoot a bunch of different content with the gimbal first, and then I'll flip to the handheld. And that makes it really simple for me, is because then I'm not flipping the camera from all those different things, balancing the camera, calibrating the camera on the gimbal. And so that's my goal, is I typically try to get as much gimbal shots as possible and then flip to handheld, attach the handle, and then we're off to the races. So the content I needed for all 3 of these restaurants is I needed 3 to 5 videos for each restaurant. So I first started with the 2 restaurants right next door to each other. They're right on a lake in Wisconsin. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're literally across the street. And so what I like to do first is start out as popping back and forth to each of them, getting some different environment and the vibes of the restaurant, and getting some shots of different meals being cooked, drinks being put together. So my goal with each of these restaurants is I want to have one environmental video, like the vibe of the restaurant, and then I want to have one dish being cooked and like the process of that dish being cooked. Then I want one B-roll of that dish being cooked. And then I want to get at least one video of the owner of the restaurant talking about the restaurant, or a dish of the restaurant as well. And so that's typically what I try to go for. And if possible, I like to get a bartender talking about a specific drink they make and showing them making it. Because each restaurant has their liquor license, and that's obviously a big sale, especially when you're in Wisconsin. So I first start, my different ideas is I wanted to put dishes on the table and kind of like show a customer eating them, right? So for a fake customer, I used my wife. And so I had my wife kind of being the model for every dish, and we put it outside. We set up the different lights, especially that small rig handheld one. It's small, it's easy to set up. But when I'm shooting the different shots of the meals and the dishes being cooked, that small rig handle is a lot of the times I'm holding it up here, and I got the camera here on the gimbal, because there's the joystick on the gimbal, or I'm holding the camera with the handheld handle. And so I'm kind of moving that back and forth, and the ISO's got to be really high on the camera because the light it's super dim in the restaurants, but that handheld light, I can really kind of hang that over different dishes and as things are being cooked. So that's typically my setup. And so I have the table set up outside. As the dish is being cooked, I'm filming that, then the dish comes outside, and then we shoot the dish at the table. And so we do that for each restaurant, and so we kind of bounce back and forth. We shoot both of those videos, which are really great, and then we try to track down the owner. Now the owner is trying to pop between 3 restaurants. So I typically come in with kind of a plan of what I want him to talk about. We record him, boom, and we're kind of bouncing in between that while shooting the B-roll. And that's kind of how we do it. And so once I get those first 2 restaurants done, I need to take some pictures as well. And so I'll quick snap the flash on when it's handheld, and we're taking different pictures of the dish and then getting some B-roll shots of it being ate and everything, and we'll get a few gimbal shots of that as well. The content went great, like the filming of it, everything, it just worked out really, really well. We finished the first 2 restaurants, and then around like 8:30, right after the sunset set, we went out to the 3rd restaurant, which is about a 20-minute drive. And so when we got there, most of the dinner service is completed. There's really no guests left in the restaurant. And we happened to go on a Saturday night. And so we got to set up outside the restaurant and in the outdoor seating area, and we went through and we had 3 different dishes. The chef walked through in the process, making them and showing them. And then we also got to film those dishes, some B-roll shots, but also film them of some lifestyle of them being ate and take pictures of them. And so it was a really crisp and clean shoot at that last restaurant. That small rig RT 250 light was an absolute lifesaver of setting that up. All the restaurants, the kitchen's tiny. And so I have to make sure my equipment's like, I can get it up there and I can get everything set up because I'm not working with a lot of space. And so once we completed that last restaurant, I think the best footage I got was that last restaurant, just because we had a rhythm going into it. So we shot for about 3 to 4 hours total of footage, and it takes a little bit to kind of get things put together. There's an actual dinner service going on. This client likes to have his shoots when there's clients in the restaurants. He likes to show the restaurants full. He likes the energy of them, and all of his restaurants have that energy that he can sell. And especially he's got the 2 restaurants that are right on the lake, and it's gorgeous, it's stunning. The videos turned out amazing. The small tweaks we're gonna make going into the next shoot for this client is there are some small color settings as we were flipping back and forth between different settings on the camera that weren't set up in the picture profiles. And so we're gonna make some small tweaks to the picture profiles. We like to shoot in Sony S-Log3, S-Gamut 3 Cine as well. And so then we put a Rec 709 LUT on there, the Sony LUT, and that kind of gets the footage in really, really good position to then color grade how we like. And so what we noticed after we shot the footage is there was something not happening right with that color grade. We were putting on the Sony LUT, and so we realized we didn't have that set with all the different modes we were shooting in, because we're flipping back between camera, we're flipping back to between 60 FPS and 24 FPS, and so something got a little bit tweaked that we didn't realize in the moment. So we're gonna make that tweak with the camera settings. I like to have the most mobility in the footage as possible with the colors because I wanna match the colors. And we don't shoot in auto white balance. We shoot in manual white balance. The reason for that is the lighting in the restaurants, depending on which direction you're shooting, can change drastically. The kitchen lights are super warm, but the other lights are super cool and that are in the rest of the restaurant. So we kind of are always careful with that. And then when we go shoot the footage outside, we have to change the white balance again. And so throughout all of these shoots, we're constantly changing the white balance and trying to nail that white balance. And then when we're setting up lights and everything, that changes the white balance a little bit. So we're kind of always playing with that. That went really well, though. We nailed the white balance in most of the shots. We didn't forget about it when we were kind of moving environments, which is great. Something that we're gonna change is we are going to get a few more pieces of equipment. We want to get that handheld light. We want that light to be held vertical on a light stand. So we're getting like a magic arm and we're going to attach it so we can fill the area over the dishes a lot better. We do have a light that's actually shooting from this direction that has a massive softbox on it, but we typically don't bring that to these restaurant shoots because the spaces are so small and there's a dinner service going on. So I can't bring in the full big light to those shoots. So we like to roll with a very small rig and small amount of camera gear as possible so we can fit into the tight areas. We're also going to shoot our flash photography of the dishes. We're gonna shoot them with the flash on something, on another different light stand. For some reason, we forgot to take it off the camera and shoot it. We want the flash coming in from the side to the dishes. So it's gonna create a lot better shadows. Our goal is to shoot shadow side. So whichever side that the shadow is on, so if this side of my face, we want the camera over here shooting this way. And the shots just look way better when you shoot shadow side. So we're gonna set up, for example, if we were doing this shot, right? Like we want the light here and then we want the camera here. That's kind of our goal, right? Or we can even have the flash here and the camera can be the direction that it's on. So that's what we're gonna tweak for our food photography. I like to do some of those photos for my clients just because it's like a pro bono for them. but I like to provide different photos so they can post that as well throughout the month of the content, right? And so for this client, we shoot enough videos for about 1 video post a week. And so I'll take care of the posting, and then these photos kind of help fill in some of those gaps. And you know, if they're having drink specials, they need a photo of a drink, you know. Tonight we have half price whatever for these martinis, and so we want a photo of that they can post with it. And so that's the goal, is to always provide more value than what the client is expecting. We're also going to get a round table that rotates. So this table, it literally will like sit there and it'll rotate. So we're gonna put the camera on a tripod, and then we're gonna light it really well. And so we're gonna get some backlighting or some side lighting of it. We're gonna put the camera on a tripod, and we're gonna have the dish turning, and we're gonna get different top-down shots of that. We're gonna get side shots of the dish, and we're also gonna get a macro lens so we can get really close to the different dishes and really show off the different details of the steak, the meats, the different sauces that they use. I mean, these restaurants use incredible ingredients as well, so it makes it really easy for me. And so the final content turned out amazing. We have a lot of different fun videos. There's different varieties. There's talking head, there's just B-roll. So I happen to show up as well as kind of pro bono, and I shot like an event recap video for them of showing off them being on the news and 1 year old, and it actually turned out really, really well. We pieced it together. We pulled some different clips from the news story. When doing this content, my biggest tip is you gotta figure out what kind of content you want. I've kind of shown up to these shoots before with zero plan, but I like to at least have somewhat of a plan, but knowing the plan is always going to change. But it's a blast. The content turned out amazing. It tells a story. It has that like almost family, you know, Italian, old school movie of a restaurant type vibe to them, which is great, and it totally fits the client and his restaurants and the clientele in the area. So those are the things we're gonna change. The shoots are fun, yeah.